All right, so this is group 4, presentation 2, revision techniques, and I have the job as the summarizer. And that's me, Andrea Anderson. All right, so let's go ahead and get this started. So revision techniques. So if you remember the first presentation, I can't remember what group touched on this topic, but this is kind of going in a little bit deeper into techniques. So revision includes kind of just reorganizing your essay, maybe adding supporting evidence, rewriting and rearranging paragraphs, and checking for logic and flow, which is very important when you're writing an essay. You want it to make sense when someone else is reading it. And as we should know by now, revision does not include punctuation or grammar or spelling errors. This comes later in the process of editing your essay. So like I mentioned before, after we complete our rough draft, we move on to the revising and editing phase. So what I've learned in this module is one of the best techniques is reading your essay out loud. It kind of helps you gather your thoughts. You get to hear it and see how it flows when you're reading it out loud. Easiest way to change and backtrack, also refine your explanation in a more flexible way. You can kind of, when you read something out loud and it doesn't make sense when you hear it, you're able to kind of understand where you need to reword and rearrange your paragraphs. So question number 1, do you think reading out loud makes the best revising tool or technique? I'm sorry. If not, what's your best revision tool? So go ahead and pause and you can think about your answer. So your answer. My answer is having to do essays and record myself for this class. Yes, I think it is a good technique. I was able to hear my errors. Rereading them just helps you understand what you need to fix. And I will use this technique for future essays. So here's some tips that I was learning about this prior week. So read what you've written. So like we mentioned before, having a family member or friend read it to give you some honest feedback. You know, doing this, you have to understand that you have to take criticism. It's not always fun, but you want that honest feedback and you want to know if they understand what you're trying to portray. Take some time away from writing, right? So I know I get caught up in trying to just finish my essay as fast as I can. So spending some time away from your essay so you can gather your thoughts and your concentration can be refocused to what you need to get done. Saving multiple drafts is always good. When you edit or revise a new essay, you can save saving previous ones so you know what you've deleted. If you want to go back and reread what you wrote prior will help. And if something happens to the file, you always have backups. If you keep going, view this process as helpful, not harmful. So revising shouldn't feel like a punishment. There's nothing wrong when you get your paper back and there's red marks everywhere. Just know that this will make you a stronger writer. It's an important step to revise your essay to kind of, like we said before, you have, making your explanation, making it flow and making it logical so the reader knows what we're trying to portray. So ask others for help. Again, if you have a friend, a spouse, a colleague can read it, but like I had mentioned before, don't take it personally. They're trying to help, and you are ultimately the author of that essay, so you don't always have to take that person's advice. Read for conciseness and consistency. So when you're doing this, you want to make sure you go over and read to make sure that you meant to say in a few words as possible. So again, checking for logic and flow. And then when you do this, making sure you look up certain words to know that you're using them correctly. Creating a style sheet. So this is personal formatting to your own writing styles. You can go on, I didn't personally know what a style sheet was, but I YouTubed it, and there's some good examples out there. And then look for specific issues in your writing. So I struggle with the conclusion paragraphs. I always kind of have a tough time with that. So I know that that's my struggle. So I tend to concentrate, and as I'm writing my essay, I think about how I can tie this to the conclusion in the end. If you know what your struggles are in the essay process, when somebody is reading your work, you can tell them that this is what you struggle with, and maybe they can concentrate in that particular area. Or when you go ask for help, you know what they can look over for you. And other resources is another tip. So for us, for our university, they have that writing center. They do a good job over there. It's easy to make an appointment. They can help you with some useful information and make the whole process just easier overall. Your local library for sample papers or self-help books. I feel like libraries are obsolete and we need to continue to use them so they don't go away. And then our professor is always there to help if none of the other resources give you the specific answer you're looking for. So question number 2, is there a difference between revising and drafting? So drafting means you get your ideas onto a paper, sticky note, computer file, and you write down key points to touch on and your key arguments, kind of just jotting down certain things so you know what you need to write about. Revising means you look over the draft, reevaluate, analyze yourself to make sure you know what you're trying to say is clear. So as we touched base in this PowerPoint, so that's what revising means, right? Rearranging your essays, making it flow correctly. And then revising involves adding, cutting, moving material, and other than editing and proofreading would come next. All right, so that's my presentation. I hope that helped a little bit. Stop before she comes.